Story: in the intricate maze of corporate bureaucracy, a narrative unfolds, a tale both hair-raising and ludicrous. A tale of an employee, let's name him Bob, who decided to depart from his job with a dash more panache than customary. Bob had been a cog in this corporate wheel for 5 consecutive years, dutifully processing papers and maneuvering through the labyrinthine procedures that form the lifeblood of any substantial organization. His desk was piled high with documents, each representing another piece of the sprawling bureaucratic jigsaw puzzle he'd come to intimately know. However, monotony started gnawing at him, and he grew weary of the endless Kafkaesque cycle. The final straw was drawn when he realized that his role was not about creating value but merely perpetuating an archaic system. With a heavy heart, Bob made up his mind to move on, yet he vowed not to exit unnoticed. As per protocol, he informed his supervisor about his resignation, giving the standard 2 weeks' notice. But our protagonist wasn't planning to follow the usual script. He intended to make sure that his departure would be felt, not just in his absence but also in the cold, unfeeling data that drives corporate decision-making. So, Bob embarked on a mission, documenting every broken process, every inconsistency, and every instance of redundancy he encountered during his tenure. He began collecting evidence, creating a dossier filled with printouts, receipts, emails, and screenshots, each piece meticulously catalogued and cross-referenced. The first week was dedicated to this arduous task. Late nights turned into early mornings as Bob compiled his magnum opus. His home office became a war room filled with charts, graphs, and sticky notes. Each day after work, he'd retreat into this sanctuary, armed with another armful of documents, ready to dissect and analyze them under the harsh light of his desk lamp. By Friday, Bob had amassed quite the collection. Stacks of papers teetered precariously on his shelves, threatening to spill over onto the floor. His computer screen was filled with open windows, displaying countless policy documents, internal memos, and archived emails. Yet, despite the overwhelming amount of information, Bob felt a sense of satisfaction. He was leaving behind a tangible record of his time here, one that couldn't be ignored or swept under the rug. The second week? That was reserved for presenting his findings to the board. With a flourish reminiscent of Willy Wonka, he handed over the dossier, explaining in detail every broken cog in the corporate machine. He walked them through the maze of redundant procedures, outdated policies, and unchecked inefficiencies. At first, there was confusion. How could one man uncover so many flaws within such a short period? Then came shock as they realized the extent of the issues plaguing their organization. Finally, resignation settled over the room like a shroud. One by one, executives dropped their eyes, unable to meet Bob's gaze. Some squirmed uncomfortably in their seats, while others stared at the documents with wide-eyed disbelief. Bob's supervisor, once a stern figure, now looked pale and speechless. He stammered out a thank you before hastily adjourning the meeting. It was clear that Bob had struck a nerve. Whether this was due to guilt, embarrassment, or fear, only time would tell. After what felt like an eternity, the CEO broke the silence. He thanked Bob for his service and expressed gratitude for bringing these issues to light. He assured Bob that they would take immediate action to rectify the situation. Whether this was genuine or merely a damage control measure, only time would tell. And so, Bob left the company, not just as another disgruntled employee but as a whistleblower who forced change from within. His tale serves as both a warning and a beacon of hope that even amidst the most convoluted systems, there's always room for improvement if only someone dares to point it out. In the following weeks, Bob watched from afar as his former employer slowly began implementing changes. Processes were streamlined, policies updated, and inefficiencies addressed. It seemed that his parting shot had hit its mark. While he no longer played a role in this transformation, he took pride in knowing that he'd sparked it. Bob's story is a testament to the power of malicious compliance. He didn't rebel against the system, instead, he used its own rules against it. By meticulously documenting every flaw, he turned the bureaucratic maze into his playground. His parting shot was not out of spite but a call for transformation, a desperate plea for progress cloaked in corporate jargon and red tape. In the end, Bob didn't just resign, he staged a peaceful revolution, leaving behind a roadmap for reform. As he settled into his new job, he knew he'd never forget his time at the old company. After all, it was there that he'd learned the true power of playing by the book and how to use it to enact change. And as he watched the news about further reforms in the organization he left behind, he couldn't help but smile. Yes, his job was done. The seeds of change had been sown, and now it was up to the company to nurture them or let them wither away in the labyrinth of bureaucracy.